Welcome to the Answer is Yes podcast, where we interview some of the most interesting people that have said yes to opportunities in their life. We hope that through these stories, you can learn to create your own destiny by saying yes along the way. Join us as we explore the new series covering topics such as passion, integrity, and hard work. I'm your host, Jim Riley, and I hope you enjoy these interviews as much as I do. I believe that everyone has an important message worth hearing. Hello and welcome to the Answer is Yes podcast. You know, I was thinking this morning, there's a whole history about me that a lot of people don't know. I've been in Montana, it feels like forever. My kids are off to school today for Hawaiian Luau Day. So I was playing some Hawaiian music for them. And I was just thinking about the 80s and 90s and early 2000s. Yes, I'm that old. I used to go surfing every single day. And that included winter times. And the Pacific Ocean, as beautiful as it is, and it's definitely on the California coast, not Hawaii, that water temp gets low, mid 50s, low 60s sometimes. But it's cold for us California boys. And, but the thing is, every day I got to work, my employees like, how was the surf today? And my answer was always the same: best day ever. Best day ever. And I related that to the surf, but I'm thinking maybe it was the actual cold water aspect of the surf that just heightened my senses and made me feel great. So how appropriate that's what I was thinking about this morning. I've got Craig on the line today from the Frozen Chosen. Craig, good morning.
Morning, Jim. How you doing?
Good. Did you guys plunge already?
Most people have. I'm doing it afterward. I get a little scatterbrained actually when I do it, so I wanted to seem halfway coherent for this talk here.
That would have made a perfect show. I would have taken you scatterbrained. Yeah, right. So here's the deal. I've got some followers on Instagram, and I follow some things that are of interest to me. And I see this post of a group of crazy people jumping into the lake. I don't know, maybe it was late January, early February. And I thought, oh, that's cool. They're going to go jump in the cold water. A lot of people do that on New Year's morning. It's a thing around here in Montana. I have not yet participated, but I thought, oh, that's neat. They're going to do that. Well, for some reason, I clicked follow, and it seems like every day it popped up in my feed. I'm like, wow, this keeps popping up. Then it was like, wait a minute, these guys are actually doing this every day. What happened here? So you guys plunge every day in cold water?
Every day in cold water. It's seems like one of the best ways to start your day, and it only takes a moment, and it's free. And there happens to be a sense of community that develops out of it very quickly.
I got to tell you something that I want to jump into your story. So you gave me the sticker. I met you. If I met Craig at Black Rifle Coffee Company, I was in line. And he reached out, he's Jim. And I said, yes, sir. And so we introduced ourselves, but you gave me a sticker for your group, the Frozen Chosen. And my daughter saw it. She's 9, and she's got one of those water bottles that the kids put the stickers on. And she's like, can I have this sticker? It's awesome. I'm like, yeah, sure. Okay. There it goes. But she took it to school, and she goes to Stillwater. And one of the kids in her class, another 9-year-old, does your plunges with you. Because the girl's like, yeah, I do that all the time with those people. And my daughter's like, really? That's so weird. How did that happen? And so I started looking back at some of your pictures, and there she was. She's one of your plungers. So how cool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it seems that the young kids, we've got a handful under 10, enjoy doing it. And it's almost like they seem to have the easiest time with it. Who knows? It's just the energy that kids have and whatnot. They have a good time.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's get some background on you. I know you've got some military experience. Can you just give us a brief history of what you've done, where you've been, and how we got to jumping in cold lakes?
Yep. Raised in Michigan, and dad was in the Marine Corps. My grandfather on my mom's side was in the Marine Corps. Grandfather on my dad's side was in the Navy. Both of them were in World War II. And so they were obviously lucky to make it out of that. But 5 years in the Marine Corps, helicopter crew chief and mechanic. So I got to fly on those. And anyway, I started to develop health problems probably about 14 years ago, which is kind of, long story short, that's how I got into cold plunging. It's just a kind of a series of events over the years and moved here to Montana about 9 months ago. And then when I saw, and I had been in cold water a couple times prior. I was up in the North Fork Flathead River in end of October or something like that briefly. And but then when I saw a couple of my friends, Ryan and Trevor, who own Bump Coffee in San Diego, they got all of their employees to do 3 minutes in their ice bath. I was like, I can't live here right by Flathead Lake and not go in that. So started in the snow. I'd lay in the snow for a few minutes, maybe for a couple weeks. And then January 30th, that was actually the first day that I tried hopping in the lake solo. And the picture looks pretty ominous. You know, the weather wasn't particularly nice that day. And I only made it about 30 seconds with the intention of going 3 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's almost like it's such an extreme thing for your body, if you will. Like there's kind of a process to doing it. You want to kind of go in with some level of quickness and then get your head underwater, because your head is your main thermostat. So if your head's kind of underwater, this is coming from Andrew Huberman. He runs a lab at Stanford. He's been on Rogan a couple times. Anyway, the rest of your body adapts. And well, I didn't know that yet. So here it is. My breathing's out of control and my head's pounding. And I knew my mom would kill me if I had to go to the ER, you know, something like that happened. So anyway, invited some friends. 3 of us were Marine vets who went the first time. It was February 11th was the first day. 5 of us total. Started going weekly. Maybe 3-4 weeks in, I had to go during the week once. My elbow was hurting from jiu-jitsu, and I was like, well, I know what's going to knock that out. So went in the water, and I just figured, well, seems like a good way for us to have accountability that at least one of us is in the water daily. So I just started going daily since. And now we've got people going in at 5:30 and 6:30 every weekday, 8 a.m. on the weekends. As you probably saw, we've been featured. We were on the front page of the Daily Interlake, local newspaper here in the Flathead Valley. That we were on the top front cover on May 1st. Had no idea that was going to happen. And then I've also been on Northwest Liberty News with Jim White. Did an interview with him, and then John Biggert, the executive director of Brain Injury Alliance Montana, was also on there. So here we are.
This thing has evolved pretty quickly, and it's great to see the photos of the large groups out there. And you mentioned to me also that if they can't make it to you where you're at over there in Big Fork or wherever you've chosen that day, they're going to their own local lake or stream or cold river and kind of doing it simultaneously to get their plunge in.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so we've got people going to Foy's Lake. Started with Reed, who was a chiropractor. He was going 5 days a week, and then joined him on a Thursday, and got some more people out there. They probably usually get in between like 4 and 10 people there, something like that. And then Old Steel Bridge up in kind of North Kalispell area, they're going daily. I think they've been going since like March 1st or something like that. And I didn't know actually until recently. They started sending me messages and, you know, and tagging the Frozen Chosen page. And then we've got one of ours who lives now up by Lake 5 in West Glacier. He's going daily solo. And then I started about 3 weeks ago, started a group in Missoula as well. And then one girl actually lives out in the Bitterroot Valley. She goes solo. She's gotten a friend in, and then people in Missoula keep going. So it just seems that people want to bring other people into it once they experience how much of a boost it is in their life. So yeah, pretty crazy.
Let's talk about that boost a little bit, because, you know, when I read your bio here on the Instagram page, which is the Frozen Chosen Montana, if you want to follow these guys, it says nonprofit here to change lives and help veterans. Talk about that for a minute. I know that you're a vet and you've got that experience, but where is this making a difference in their lives? We have one of the largest retirement communities of veterans in Montana, anywhere in the United States. And so what a relevant thing to be doing here, but talk about that.
So yeah, the thing with the veterans, originally it kind of, we were thinking nonprofit, you know, specifically for veterans. And then as the community developed, it's like, wow, so many people are getting, you know, benefits out of this. It's probably going to be geared primarily toward veterans, but, you know, if there's somebody actually in the community who needs some kind of help, be it something financial, or, that fell on hard times or had a medical expense or something like that, or, like some type of therapeutic getaway. People do like these hunting getaways and fishing getaways and things like that. Any number of things like that. We're also focusing a lot now on brain health, because we've got a former professional MMA fighter who is doing this specifically to help heal his TBI. And he said it's making a massive difference. He said that hyperbaric chambers have made a lot of difference for him, but this is probably the biggest thing that has made the difference for him. And it's almost kind of like a two-tiered thing. We want people to be able to participate in something daily that improves their life. And it doesn't matter if you're a veteran. It doesn't matter if you donate to the nonprofit. It's just like, come on out, challenge yourself, learn something about yourself, and have an amazing day. It's so that's, I guess that's I'm sort of starting to lose my train of thought here, but I guess that's kind of the synopsis there, is trying to find ways for individuals have been affected, and there's so much suicide in the veteran community and everything. Even just the sense of coming here and getting community, there's somebody to talk to for everybody in the group, and everybody is super welcoming. I understand that when you're going to do something new, be it going to a gym or joining some type of community, there's a bit of a fear we have of the unknown. It's like, are people going to welcome me? How is this going to go? And you can be anybody here. We've got, like I said, we've got kids who are under 10. We've got people who are probably into their upper 60s doing it, and everybody in between. And it's literally just like, hey, we're all here to get uncomfortable. It's all going to be like a humbling, authentic experience for everybody, especially back, say, when the water was 35 degrees, and it's like, you can just see the shock on people's faces, and, their bodies tense up, and their breathing is, difficult to get under control. And it's just quite an experience, and community for people to come join. And I say community because it's developed into that so rapidly, where people just want to hang out and talk to each other. And, so we do also weekly cookouts here at Wayfarers in Big Fork, 5:00 every Saturday. Everybody's invited, family friendly events. And it just feels like a dream. It's just beyond anything that I could have expected it to be.
Very, very humbling to have an immediate reception to something that you started doing. It's funny, I looked at the early pictures, and without, analyzing them, I thought, what a group of badasses. And I really never dug into the actual faces there, and I'm listening to you talk, and I heard your story a week ago, and I started looking at the faces, and it's like you said, all ages, everybody's got a smile on their face. And I'm guessing that cold water humbles everybody. There's no badasses when it comes to cold water.
Yeah. Yeah, it's that way, and especially when the water was colder, people are like, we say act a fool. People are like shouting, they're screaming, they're grunting, whatever they had to do to get through it. And it's just like, it's pure comedy when you see people who they just start to come out of their shell, and they're like, oh man, like I can do anything I want now. And like, everybody just eats it up. So it provides that welcoming, kind of judgment-free environment, to where it's like, do whatever you got to do. It's just great, that people are there. And luckily with the, helps to have the Black Rifle coffee daily, Black Rifle Kalispell, as I told you, is, they provide coffee to us daily. So that's always a great thing, kind of spurs conversation a little bit more to get, caffeinated and a warm drink to, take a little bit of the edge off in the water.
No, there's nothing wrong with that. So where does this go, Craig? I mean, you've started something. Now you've got afternoon picnics on the weekend. You've got groups, across the state starting to grow. What happens from here?
From here, that's a great question. It's going to be much bigger than it already is, but it's going to be much bigger than it is currently. Missoula was really only the first kind of stop in the way of getting people outside of this area going with it. So we had I had about a 2-hour conversation here recently with the owners of a top tier cold plunge tank company. So without giving too much of the story away, they think we're drowning in opportunities.
Hmm.
So it's going to go mobile in a sense, and we want to take this to everybody around the country. Um, and imagine if there's an event, say at your gym or, a jujitsu gym or whatever the case may be, and you never thought of cold plunging before, and all of a sudden you've got a friend who's like, hey man, let's go do this cold plunge thing. They're going to have this, tank out there, and so is going to be there. So it just seems that there will be an opportunity for people to do it, and then it'll be in a supportive environment, and it'll be kind of like, you got the opportunity now, you might as well take it. It's not like you're just going solo and you're just going to suffer on your own. It's going to be something and we'll try to do, each place we go to, we'll try to do like 2 to 3 days worth of a stop. That way, if you happen to miss one day, there's, the next day would be an opportunity. Say we go to a Black Rifle Coffee one day and do it. The next day we're at a jujitsu gym. And then the next day, who knows where, say somebody might invite us to their property or whatever and do it. But just getting that one time for people to do it, and then they'll go, oh. And it's funny too, we get people who go in. There was a gal recently, she's about 30, 35. In the first 30 seconds she's in the water, she's like, I really don't like this. And she stayed in the full 3 minutes. That was the goal. And then later on social media, she's posting about how much she loved it. And then she's back the next day. She brought her mom, the next day. And so it's really interesting to watch how the progression goes from, as Rob Bailey, who was saying recently, you're scared to go into it every single time. And whether you've done it 100 times or it's your first time, it will be uncomfortable, and you're choosing to do it anyway. It's like you're sort of placing more trust in yourself to be able to work through that process, and trust in the person, whoever invited you. And it's, again, just kind of taking off in different directions here, but it just seems to be something that people need to experience. And if it really, people keep telling me more so than anything is they're having so much of a better day in the way of their mood, their energy. The things that used to bother them are just like, no big deal. They just have an easier time. We've got one guy who has said, and he's spoken about it publicly, so it's not a secret. He's like, this saved my life. And he's got 2 kids who are, say, 8 and 12 years old or something like that. And he's married. There's another guy who also has spoken about this publicly. He's got 4 kids who are between about 12 and 18, and he's married. And he's like, this is saving my marriage. He said, I'm able to discuss things that, for the last few years were difficult for me. And I would get defensive and my ego would kind of step in the way. And he's like, now I'm able to just kind of relax and have a productive conversation and work through things and not take offense to things. So it being that is what people keep talking about, it's even more important to get it out there. The physical, say, recovery aspects and everything, where people just feel better, say post gym and everything, like the typical reason people have used it, after athletic events and stuff like that, is really only kind of a small part of it. It's the mental health aspects people keep talking about.
Sure. I can imagine the drive over is kind of like going to a funeral, but the drive home is like leaving a wedding reception, like, all right.
Yeah, right. Yeah, it was like in February, it was ominous, coming to the lake, and you knew what you were getting into. And then, yeah, the drive back then, you're literally like shaking, for the however long it took to get home. Or, our salvation was the sauna at Montana Athletic Club here in Big Fork. It was like, okay, see you at the sauna. Yeah. And I mean, you're just shivering the whole way there, and it's difficult to drive while you're shivering.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, it's a whole lot easier now.
How was it back in February? Because I'm thinking, so I did 2 rounds of 75 hard this winter, basically a half a year. I was on 75 hard, and I was out there running in -30, -20, 10, all these crazy cold weather days. And here you are out there in the water.
Yeah. Yeah. It's there is an element of crazy to it. We say it's a good kind of crazy, and it kind of, it really gets to say what Jocko Willink and Joe Rogan and David Goggins and all these guys are talking about. They're like, you need to get uncomfortable. You need to do hard things because, not only you just grow in so many different ways. It literally sounds like, as I listen to people have conversations in the group here, it's just like, it almost sounds like they're becoming more conscious of themselves and how they handle things and think and how they deal with things around them. And there really is something that is just packed into that element of nature and that cold that you're going to learn something about yourself, whether you're going into it with that intention or not. It pushes you that far to where it feels there's a sense of satisfaction from doing it. Even if people don't come back anymore, sure, we've had plenty of people who, they'll show up once and they're good. Maybe it scared the crap out of them. Hopefully they're at least doing cold showers or something like that. But, Wim Hof, he's probably the biggest name in the cold exposure world. He's been doing it for who knows how many years. He keeps talking about it and he keeps doing these courses to train people on this because it makes such a tremendous difference in people's lives. So we're just really fortunate that there are all these rock stars out there who have forwarded this message before us.
Well, if you listen to my show or you're listening now, I talk about 75 hard a lot because I believe in the value of doing something hard, finding that inner strength, becoming who you really are meant to be. And that comes over time of doing something consistently. Now, because I've done it 7 times now, I think, it's a gradual work into the discipline of doing that, where I'm listening to you going, oh, this is day one. Day one, you develop this like inner strength and discipline to get in that water. Talk about, I don't want to call it immediate gratification, but talk about an immediate change in your life. You get to the water's edge, you get in, you work through that breathing and that shaking and that nervousness and all those things. And you come out 3 minutes later going, wow, I just did that. I mean, it's got to be incredible for watching somebody new do that.
It is incredible. And really, if you look at people's smiles before they go in, or maybe even it's just a sheer look of dread on their face before they go in, and then you see how big the smiles are afterward and just the sense of satisfaction on their face and the fact that they just realize that they overcame something that's really difficult. Nobody likes the cold water, before they get this started. And, maybe some people still don't like it. But there's just something about the experience that, again, you learn something about yourself, and it's, 90 some percent of cases, people enjoy it. Sure, some people get in quickly, they might go knee deep or waist deep, and then they get out. But again, they at least went in to an extent and they trusted themselves up to that point. And sure, there's all work that we all have to do in that way of just developing ourselves fully. It doesn't ever seem like there's a peak and then there's nothing more after that. So it's people start just wherever they are in life. And sure, we're going to offer a lot of encouragement to them. There's no kind of ridicule or anything that comes from it. It's just like, we're either cheering people on and they come in and do it, and then they're just like, oh my God, like it almost looks like a breakthrough, happens for people. So really, really amazing to see.
It doesn't seem like anybody ever gets good at getting into the cold water, but I think, and you can tell me if this is true or not, that once they realize the benefit and the value of doing it, it makes it easier for them to get in and actually do the deal.
Yes. Once they realize it, and they see, again, it's one of those where when people say, oh man, I was at work and people are asking me like, why I was in such a good mood and everything. And they're like, oh, I did a cold plunge this morning. And so it really is one of those to where maybe it was entirely unexpected. Maybe they just thought it was going to suck the whole time. And it's like, okay, well, I did that and I won't go back and do it. But it's that reward. I guess it's our dopamine levels come up about 2.5 times and only kind of go back to our normal baseline after about 2 hours. when comparatively, if you look at alcohol, cocaine, and certain things like that, sure, you're going to get a bump in dopamine, but you're going to go back below baseline, hence the need to put these harmful things into your body more and more and more. And when people come out and do this, it's like, not only do they get that bump in dopamine, but they're just other layers, that come with it.
Yeah. Talk to me about the time of day. Does it, I'm listening to you going, well, heck, I need to go get in some cold water right now. Is there a time? I mean, or is it any time is the right time for a cold plunge?
There is a time in the sense of, if you want to start your day on the right foot, that's why we get in and do it in the morning. Usually people come here and then they go to the gym afterward. And this is another thing coming from Andrew Huberman, that, your adrenaline and or adrenaline and noradrenaline, those levels shoot up. And so he's saying you want to keep it to probably at least 4 hours prior to going to bed, because you can be a little bit energized. I've heard some people, then again, they say, I do it right before bed and it knocks me right out. But the idea with doing it in the morning is that, how cool is it to be able to hang out with friends first thing in the morning? You don't have to think, okay, I'm solo until whenever, and I got to make it through work. And then afterward, I can hang out with friends, which often for people is like a happy hour or something like that. But it's like, no, get it started at the right time of day. Get a big smile on your face at the beginning of the day, get a boost of energy, get over a big hump, and then just watch the rest of your day like you can sort of go on cruise control. Like it's easier for there. So a couple different elements going on to do it in the morning.
I love it. Craig, people listen to my show all across the country, actually different parts of the world. If they want to participate where they're at, I mean, are you encouraging them to check in with you on social media, or just, hey, we're doing this at 8 a.m. So do it at 8 a.m. and we're all in some virtual space here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. And that will be the thing that as Frozen Chosen develops more, we may do one of those where it's just like, hey, we're going to pick a day, pick a time, everybody hops in, say, take a picture, take a video of yourself, post it, tag the group, and then we'll do that. Because, as people asked me, in particular, when I was in Missoula, they were like, why are you doing this? Because here I was 2 hours away. There were literally people who just couldn't fathom, why was there sharing this with people? And they're like, what keeps you going doing this? And I said, it's the mental health aspect. It's what people keep telling me what they enjoy from it. And it's like, why not go spread that around and create communities elsewhere? But that'll be the thing is encourage people across the country. Maybe it'll go worldwide. And sorry, I lost the point that I was trying to make there. I said, imagine that everybody in the entire world for one day felt 10% better energy wise and was in a 10% better mood. What kind of effect would that have on the entire world? And then if they thought, wait a second, if that happened once, like, let me try it again, let me try it again. And so that's really the thing there. And 10% really it's a very conservative number, but it's just a number to use to try to make the point. But it seems that once I say that, people are like, oh, okay. And it sinks in for them.
I love what you're doing. I love what you stand for. And one of my favorite things of our conversation when we met at Black Rifle, I said, well, what do you do for work? And you said, Jim, this is what I do. This is what I'm going to do too. And that was after you talked to me about the value that you're bringing to people, especially our veterans, and the mental health aspect of this. So I praise you and commend you for what you're doing there. And look, if you want to follow Craig and his group, go to Frozen Chosen Montana on Instagram. They're pretty consistent there. And reach out to them. Like he said, post your pictures up, tag them, come up to Montana, say hello. He's not afraid to drive to you, so you might as well drive to him.
Yeah, right.
So, hey, if this gets aired fast enough, what is your consistent time and place that you meet? I think you've got it here on your Instagram, but can you tell everybody?
So if you're close enough to Big Fork, we meet at Sportsman's Bridge, which is on Highway 82, just on the northwest side of Big Fork. There's a boat launch there. That's weekdays 5:30 and 6:30 a.m. Weekends are always 8 a.m. Holidays the same. Foy's Lake meets, I think, weekdays at 6:15 a.m. The Old Steel Bridge group, their times vary, but I do post that in the Instagram stories. So do watch these Instagram stories because there will be updates there, even about different events we're doing. Missoula is 6:30 a.m. weekdays, 8 a.m. weekends. So there we go.
I love it. Hey, I've seen people come to Montana for less. So if you're listening to this, get in your car, come on up here, jump in the lake with Craig and his buddies. I mean, I'm going to have to do it. And it will definitely be out of my comfort zone. Just like everybody else, I hate cold water. So Craig, thank you for being on the show. Thank you for standing. Because you're not seeing this live, everybody, I asked Craig to call me from the lake. I wanted to see the background. I thought if we get this up on video, you'd be able to see those blue skies and pine trees and our beautiful morning here in Montana. So thank you for doing that for me. And I know you're getting ready to go do another group. So appreciate you and look forward to seeing you around town, maybe at Black Rifle Coffee Company.
Sounds great, Jim. Thanks very much for having me. I appreciate it.
Thank you for listening to today's show. It is my pleasure and honor to interview all of the guests that have been on the Answer is Yes podcast. If you have enjoyed the show, please go on iTunes and subscribe, give a rating, or simply tell a friend about the show. We also believe in the message of our guests and the positive influence of their stories. As my own mentor and coach, David Meltzer, has taught me, spend some time every day thinking and writing about the things in your own life that you have more than enough of. You will find out how blessed we really are. Please visit my website, livelifedriven.com, for the latest updates about me and what I'm doing. Plus, I post a monthly blog about the many topics on this show. This podcast can also be found there. As I learned early on in life, what you believe is what you will achieve. Thanks, Mark Victor Hansen, and thank you, and have a great week.